Hello and welcome to Writer Radio, a weekly podcast to help writers relax into their craft. You can download a free copy of my book, How to Write Page-Turning Fiction, at helencoxwrites.substack.com. Enjoy the show. Episode 8. Should Writers Fear AI? Hello, fellow writers. I'm Helen Cox, and today's episode tackles a question that feels unavoidable at the moment. I'll say at the very top of the show that I have been more creative than ever thanks to the dawn of tools like ChatGPT, and wouldn't be without it. But that doesn't mean the conversation isn't complex or that I blindly use these tools for everything. Essentially, there is more nuance to this issue than good human, bad robot. Let's begin with something simple. Every tool humanity has ever created has had the capacity to build or to destroy. When the first person picked up a fallen tree branch, they could have used it to stoke a fire or to club someone over the head. The branch itself was not moral. It was neutral. The same is true of the printing press, the typewriter, the word processor, the internet. Each of these innovations triggered panic. The printing press was accused of spreading dangerous ideas. The novel itself was once considered morally corrupting. Television was said to be the death of reading. The internet was going to destroy attention spans permanently. And yet, human creativity did not collapse. It evolved. And now we've arrived at AI. And again, we hear the same questions. Will it replace writers? Will it dilute originality? Will it make human effort redundant? Will it rob us of authenticity? Before we answer those, let me tell you something about my own position and history. I began teaching at a London college called City Lit in 2017, coordinating in the creative writing department and teaching advanced workshops, memoir, poetry, critical workshops. AI was not a presence in those rooms. Writers came to class with their voices unfiltered, unassisted, just raw. And what I saw repeatedly was this: creative growth is linked directly to authenticity. Now, authenticity sounds like an intimidating academic word, but it isn't. It simply means bringing some kind of truth to the page in a voice that is unmistakably yours. Here's a question I often ask. If a robot read your writing out loud, would a listener still know it was you behind the pen? That is authenticity. And it matters because it's how we perform the small miracle of human connection. One person reaching another through ink or pixels or audio waves, just as I'm reaching you right now. Nobody else in the world will arrange words in exactly the order you do, and that's not motivational fluff, it's just fact. Which brings us back to AI. The fear is not that AI will write something competent, it's that it will erode individuality. But here's the nuance. AI is not inherently a shortcut. It becomes a shortcut when we use it that way. If you use AI to avoid reading, drafting, struggling, to avoid developing your own voice, then yes, you are skipping the most important part of becoming a writer. The introspective journey, the messy apprenticeship, the odyssey of figuring out what you believe, what you care about, what truths you feel compelled to tell. Nothing can replace that, and nothing should replace that. But that doesn't mean AI has no place. Used at the right time, and that is crucial, at the right time, AI can be extraordinary. It can be a research assistant, a structural sounding board, a brainstorming partner, a clarity checker, a way to generate the bones of a book blurb when your brain is completely fried. It can help you articulate something you already half know, but it should not decide what you care about. It should not decide your voice. It should not do the emotional excavation for you. That excavation is where your originality lives. Now, I'm in a fortunate position. AI arrived late in my career. I never had to decide whether to develop my voice or outsource it. I know what my writing sounds like. If you've listened to even 2 of these podcasts, you also will probably know what my writing voice sounds like, at least in the world of nonfiction, and by now you'll probably know whether it's something you've warmed to or whether it annoys the heck out of you. Hopefully the former, but I'm sorry to say that's out of my control. Anyway, my point is, when I use AI, I am not looking for identity. I am looking for efficiency, and that's a completely different posture. And here is where I think the real danger lies. Not in AI itself, but in how it's positioned. It's often marketed as a shortcut. Why read a book? Ask for a summary. Why learn punctuation? Let it correct you. Why wrestle with structure? Let it draft for you. But your authentic work does not need correcting in that way. It needs experimentation, time, failure, feedback, which brings me to the place for humanity in all of this. Because both AI and humankind can have a place in the writing and editing process without stepping on each other's toes. A radical idea, I know. Human feedback on your work does matter, and that cannot be replaced by AI systems. Sorry for those of you who were hoping to hear different. The thing is, AI does not get bored. That might sound like a strength, but it isn't, because human readers do. We all occasionally write something we find fascinating that sends readers quietly to sleep. And you need someone to tell you that. You need to look into the eyes of someone who has read your work and accept their human reaction to it, even if that reaction was, "I'm sorry to tell you, Helen, that the middle of that chapter was a total snooze fest." Killing your darlings is a cliche for a reason. It is very difficult to detect your own darlings. AI can identify overused adjectives. It cannot truly replicate boredom, delight, surprise, or confusion. It does not experience narrative momentum. Humans do. And that is why human creative spaces still matter, perhaps more than ever. They will sharpen individuality and Here is the core of my position. Writers do not need to fear AI, but they do need to understand themselves. So I would like you to ask yourself, before you even think about using an AI tool, do I know my voice? Do I know the kind of stories I want to tell? Have I synthesized my influences? Have I read widely? Have I written badly? Have I revised painfully? Have I found some sliver of truth that feels uniquely mine? If the answer is no, then hold off signing up for a ChatGPT Pro account just yet. Build that foundation first. If the answer is yes, then AI becomes a tool. In fact, it's arguably the most advanced linguistic tool humanity has yet built. The optimum incarnation of centuries of language development. It is not the enemy of creativity. It's an extension of it. Unlike that original tree branch, it can warm a village or cause harm. The moral weight lies with the user. So should writers fear AI? No. They should fear losing touch with their own voice. They should fear abandoning the introspective journey. They should fear becoming copies when they were born originals. But a writer who knows who they are, a writer who has done the hard work, that writer can collaborate with AI without dilution, because the core human remains. And that core, your individual mode of expression, is worth holding on to, no matter what advances we make. Completely, forever, and always. Thank you for listening to Writer Radio. I hope you found this discussion helpful. I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, take care and keep writing.